So I'm delighted to be here with you to talk to you about teaching for a better tomorrow through creative expression. I'm the founder and the person behind the Tales of Strays campaign, which I'm going to say a few words about in a minute. So I'm going to talk to you about a better tomorrow and creative expression in the context of the campaign. So here's what I'm going to do over the next 30 minutes. First, I'll say a few words about the Tales of Strays campaign so that we are all on the same page, more or less. Then I'll present samples of creative student work based on a picture book written specifically for the campaign, and the picture book is for learners between the ages of 4 and 10. Then we will talk about creativity through activities based on a short story, which is also written just for the campaign. And it's for a bit older learners between the ages of 12 and maybe 16, 17, 18. So I put young adults. And towards the end, I'm going to talk about materials writing. And I will focus on fostering creativity in learners of different ages and levels, in specific examples of lesson plans created for the campaign again. So let's start with what the Tales of Strays campaign is. It's a combination of English language teaching and fighting for the cause that I'm very passionate about, the plight of stray animals worldwide. So the aim of the Tales of Strays campaign is to teach students about our responsibilities towards companion animals and about our bond between people and about the bond between people and dogs and cats, in order to prevent instances of future neglect, abuse, and abandonment. So let me give you a little bit more context here about me. I'm based in Greece, as we said, and in Greece, unfortunately, there are lots of instances of companion animal neglect, abuse, and abandonment, just like many other places of the world. Some of you might be wondering, what am I doing here, since you don't see stray animals in the place where I live, and there are no obvious instances of companion animals neglect, abuse, and abandonment where I live. Well, I'm going to answer to this, that this session is for everyone, because first of all, is there a place in the world where those rights, the rights of companion animals, are 100% respected? I honestly doubt it. And secondly, I believe that there is no place on earth where it's not worth to talk to our students, to teach about love, respect, kindness, and empathy. So this session, yes, it is for everyone. The campaign has 3 pillars. The first pillar is storytelling. The second one is materials writing, and the third one is teaching. So when it comes to storytelling, it all started with a picture book with the title Toby to the Rescue, which I wrote and my daughter, who was 10 years old at that time, illustrated. And we continued with the second book, May to the Rescue, which Evita illustrated when she was 12. When it comes to materials writing, later on, I invited colleagues from all over the world to submit lesson plans so that we can create compilations of lesson plans, which are now available online for free. So in those 3 compilations, you will find lesson plans about the bond between people and companion animals. And when it comes to teaching, well, the campaign wouldn't be able to grow or thrive without the participation, the support, and the love of lots of colleagues who have embraced the campaign and who systematically include in their teaching topics related to companion animals. Toby to the Rescue. I'm going to start with this. So in many sessions, I've talked a lot of times about how I use my own creativity in order to engage students in the stories that I have written for the campaign. And I think that's important too, because, and I'm going to steal the title of the next session here, creativity starts with the teacher, right? But today I'm going to focus on students' creativity. I'm going to focus on on the ways in which I engage students in a creative way. I engage them and they respond to the story. Oh, and let me mention that the examples that I'm going to show to you were created by my students, but also by students of different colleagues who have generously shared with me the materials created by the students. So you already know that I have a cat, Cookie. I have a cat, Cookie. She's knocking on the door now. I also have a dog. Her name is Mocha. She was actually the inspiration for the campaign. And she is reminding me that I should at this point tell you what the story is about. So the story is about little Nick, the boy who goes to the playground one day, and in the playground he loses his favorite teddy bear. So he is in distress, he cries, he is very sad, he can't find it anywhere. And that, I'm sorry, I have to open the door for Cookie. I'm really sorry. Cookie, go, bye-bye. That's life with companion animals. Sorry for that. She wouldn't stop meowing. So little Nick in the park, he loses his teddy bear. He meets a dog. The dog loses his superpower, his super nose, and he helps little Nick find the teddy bear. Of course, by that time, they've become great friends. And obviously, the boy wants to take the dog home with him. There comes Mom with precious advice, with wisdom, and she starts talking to Nick about all the responsibilities that come with having a pet, having a companion animal. They talk about taking the animal to the vet, about going for long walks, food and water, all these things. The boy agrees, they take the dog home and they give him the name Toby. So that's the story. So it's time now to show some samples of students' work, ways in which they respond to the story in a creative way. So let's start with something very simple that every student likes. Draw your favorite scene. So here we've got an example of a scene in which Mom talks to little Nick and explains to him that a dog is not a toy. Yes, you're right, he's your friend, but a dog is not a toy. There will be a lot of work. Can you do it all, my boy? She said. You will notice that the story is written in the form of rhyming chants. So we do a lot of work based on language work, based on the rhyme and the rhythm. And then we talk about the responsibilities. And then there is the creative part as well, in which students create their own things. Okay, so some students draw, whereas other students sing. And here we've got a student from Serbia who decided to sing the story of Toby. So let's listen to her.
I can give you food and water, take you to the wet. I can take you for long walks, you will be my pet. I will call you Toby, this will be your name. I'm happy to have you, do you feel the same?
All right, so this group of students from Serbia, they were very creative about Toby's story. So except for the song and some other things, they also wrote the continuation of the story. So we have 4 students here, and each of them wrote about a separate day. So we've got day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4 after Toby's adoption. And we're just going to listen to a little bit of each one.
Day 1, Toby in a new home. When Toby and Nick went home, they watched TV. They had some rest while Nick's mom was cooking lunch. Lunchtime, Mom said, "Come, Toby, let's eat." "I can eat?" Toby asked confusedly. "Yes, of course, come." When they filled their bodies, Toby told Nick his sad history. He said, "I love you," and this is his little teddy. So that was a little story from day 1.
Day 2. Little Nick spends the whole day with the dog. It's time for the walk. Toby is that big that Nick can ride him, but his mom thinks that will hurt Toby. They were walking in circles around the park.
Day 3. Toby goes to a vet, and after the vaccine, he goes home and eats. Toby is full and he goes with little Nick and plays football. Day 4. After the long day, Toby and Nick went to sleep. Toby asked little Nick, "Wait, I can sleep here again?" Nick answered, yes, you can." Toby laid on the fluffy pillow. They were sleeping gently, sweetly. Somebody knocked on the door. That woke up Nick and Toby. Nick's mom opened the door. She heard the cat noises. She looked down and saw a little kitten in the basket.
So you understand that in the continuation of the story written by these 4 students, Toby has a cat sibling. All right. All right. So remember I told you about 3 compilations of lesson plans. Lesson plans written specifically for the campaign. One of those lesson plans was written by Hara Halazuka from Greece. And in this lesson plan, she focused on Toby to the rescue. And because Hara very much believes in the power of creative expression and the power of educational drama, she included all kinds of activities like this in her lesson plan. So first of all, she asked her students to create puppets, and they reproduced the story of Toby using those puppets. They also dramatized the story, they played the roles. So here in the second picture, you can see that this is Mommy, this is little Nick in the stroller, and this is the dog who comes and sniffs, smells little Nick sneeze to catch the smell of the teddy bear, and then helps them find the dog, helps little Nick find the dog, find the teddy. All right, and here we've got a sample of their dramatization.
Nick, come on, it's time to leave. I have to cook. I'm coming, Mommy. Mommy, where's my little teddy? I can't see my little teddy. Help me find him, please. Don't worry, we'll find him. Nick, watch out, there is a dog. Don't be scared, Mommy. Don't you worry, good boy. I think I can tell you. My nose is ready. Here is your teddy. Now go home and rest. Hold your teddy close and tight. Your nose is the best. My name is Nick. What is yours? Well, I don't have a name. I live here in the farm. I'm a stray. Nobody wants me. That's not true. I want you. You're my friend. Mommy, please let's take him home. He's my friend. Yes, you are right. He's your friend. But the dog is not a toy. There will be a lot of work. Can you do it all, my boy? A lot of work? I don't understand, Mommy. What's it like to have a pet? Food and water, vet and care, long walks every day. This is what you have to do to adopt a stray. I will do it, Mom. After all, that's not so much for the love you get. Let's go home, everybody.
So the students memorized some of the lines. They paraphrased the rest a little bit, and we have this wonderful outcome. So those activities were created very close to the story. They were based on the story of Toby. And here we have some more ideas, some more creative outcomes created in the spirit of the Tales of Strays campaign, inspired by Toby's story. So that's some time ago when I went to a preschool here in Thessaloniki to do a storytelling session. The preschool where my children actually were students when they were very young. So we went together with Evita, who was the illustrator of the story now. And we did a storytelling session with those 4 to 5-year-old students. And after the session, I invited them to draw a wish for stray animals. So with a little bit of help from the teachers, writing Adopt a Stray, Save a Life slogans, the students created wonderful wishes for stray animals. And I zoomed in here on one wish specifically. On one wish, you can see there is a family here. There is a mother and a child with a kite. There is a house and a dog. What a beautiful wish. So some other teachers invite their students to create posters. And this poster is especially beautiful. I find the use of the vivid colors amazing. So Effie actually read both stories with the students, Toby to the Rescue and May to the Rescue. And inspired by those stories, the students prepared the poster, like a campaign poster. Together we can save these precious animals. They put some heartwarming slogans and the hashtags Adopt a Stray, Save a Life, which I usually use when I post on social media about the campaign. Here's another example of creative expression through an acrostic poem built around the word happy. So we've got happy, have a small puppy to play and you will be happy all day. And here's another poem written by one of Tanya's students. It's actually dedicated to the student's dog. The title is For My Dog. My dog is blonde and shines like the sun. My dog is big and strong like my superhero. My dog is sweet and cute like a bar of milk chocolate. My dog is my best friend, and so it goes on. Another very interesting activity, and before I explain it, I'll have to add a little bit of context about me. So, except for being like a teacher activist, incorporating companion animals into my teaching and materials writing, I'm also a volunteer at a local shelter. At a local dog shelter. So every year in December, we organize a bazaar to collect some money for our strays. And we sell, for example, postcards, holiday cards. So here you can see postcards with the dogs from our shelter. Some of them have already been adopted, which is lovely. So 2 teachers, Despina and Leah, they purchased postcards. So in this way, they supported the shelter as well. And they invited the students to exchange postcards and wishes and stories. So they wrote the wishes on the postcards and they wrote stories. Here you can see is the story written by Despina's students, which is about 2 children waiting for the present, saying, we want to give love and get love, which is actually a line from Toby to the Rescue. And so they get transferred to the shelter and they adopt animals there. And here we have wishes and the story written by Leah's students. And again, the 2 children ask for a Christmas present, home for all strays. And the children become volunteers at Stray Planet afterwards. So this is a beautiful moment in which English language teaching and real life and real problem, real life come together, and students in a creative way look for solutions. All right, and here's another thing created with a wonderful tool called Story Jumper. Story Jumper is a tool in which students can create stories. They can add their own characters, add their own backgrounds. They can add even sound. They can add sound as well. So let's listen for a moment.
Georgina Adopt Max by Georgina. To all the strays in the world. One day, Georgina goes to a concert of her favorite band, Marcus and Martin. On her way, she sees a big building. There is a man at the door. What is this building? It's a dog shelter.
All right, so that's how it continues. Obviously, Georgina doesn't go back home alone. So those were activities based on the picture book, Toby to the Rescue. And now I'm moving on to the part for a little bit older students, based on the short story with the title When a Cat Purrs, which was written by me for the Tales of Stories campaign, but also for a competition which was recently organized by Ken Wilson Short Story Competition. And this story actually got a shared second prize. It's based on true events, and it starts with the following short paragraph. An old veterinary adage says, if you put a cat and a bunch of broken bones in the same room, the bones will heal. And I'm asking, what about a room full of broken souls and low spirits? The story is about a couple who want very much to have a child, but for some reason, they can't. So one day, after yet another visit at the doctor's office, they are about to go home disappointed. And when they arrive home, they find a kitten. So at the time when they were already considering adopting a child, they suddenly end up adopting a kitten. And their lives change. It's like their second honeymoon. So after some time, to cut a long story short, they become so relaxed and so cheerful and so full of happiness that they manage Irene manages to get pregnant. And they have a lovely daughter, Adriana. So that's the story. I'm not going to say more because maybe when it eventually gets uploaded, maybe you want to read it, because I just want to tell you that you are among the first people in the world who have read this story. I've written a lesson plan also for it, and I tried it with my students, and a colleague, Leah, has tried it with her groups. It's been very successful, I'm happy to say. So I'm going to show some of the activities. And because I knew that the winter fair was coming up, so I included lots of activities in which students need to be very creative. So the first activity is frozen image and voices in the head. So for this activity, you divide students into groups, and each group presents a frozen image of a part of the text. The text, this specific story, is divided into 4 parts. So after each part, you can have this frozen image. So the students who are frozen, they don't talk. And then you can place a hand on the shoulder of one of the students in the frozen group, and then they have to share their thoughts with the rest of the class. Or optionally, you can put a hand above one of the frozen students' head, or like a thought bubble, and the remaining part of the class have to guess what the thoughts of that character are. Here we've got Leah's students actually doing this activity in class. If you teach one-on-one, you cannot have this kind of activity because you require more than one student, but you can ask your student to draw pictures, like frozen image pictures. So here my student, Georgina, who is 11, made a drawing of mommy cat carrying little Mao, the kitten that Irene will later find in front of her house and adopt. She's a stray cat, so she's carrying her little kitten across the road to safety because she gave birth in a very busy place. And in this picture, we have another frozen image, another important moment in the story filled with emotions, when Irene finds out that she is going to have a baby, and Mao in the back finds out that he's going to have a sibling. Another drama-based activity, roll on the wall. So we can divide your students into groups again. There are 4 protagonists in the story. There is Mao, the cat, who changes those people's lives. There is Irene and Dakis, the couple, and Adriana, their daughter. So each group gets 1 character. And they draw the body outline of that character. that they are going to talk about. And outside the body outline, they write facts about that character. They write facts about the character and their own ideas about the character. Whereas within the body outline, they write the thoughts, the inner thoughts and the emotions of that character. So what helps them with gathering vocabulary for this task is also the vocabulary bank, which students work on throughout the lesson, because there are lots of vocabulary items related to feelings in this story. I suggest that that they draw this kind of vocabulary bank mind map. So they divide the feelings into positive, negative, and other, depending on the context, okay? And they write what the feeling is and who had this feeling, who felt this emotion, and in what situation. So they already gather lots of ideas here, and they are ready for the body outline. And now that they have gathered all the vocabulary related to feelings and they've done the body outline, they can proceed to the next task, which is retell the story from the perspective of one of the characters. And here, the student of mine retold the story from the perspective of Irene, the female character. So of course, she added some additional information. She put some additional information in here because now Irene tells us about herself, about how she feels and how she experienced the whole situation. Another thing, pantomime. So you can ask students to come up with their own scenarios. Like in the story, we had Mao who helped this family. So they can come up with their own scenarios of another animal, another companion animal, helping a person or a family. And then you can ask them to present those scenarios using their bodies, and the whole class had to guess what the story that was being presented was. And sometimes, you know, students say that they believe that they are not creative enough, they don't have enough ideas. So you can use the scenario cards which are going to come in the lesson plan accompanying the story. And one of the scenarios is about Leah, a 15-year-old girl who had difficulties at school, difficulties focusing on her schoolwork. She easily got distracted. She got easily distracted by anything. And for this reason, it was difficult for her to make friends. She was kind of a loner, and actually people were making fun of, other students were making fun of her. And then one day she goes to the park and she meets a stray kitten. The kitten started brushing against her legs, and she put the cat on her lap, and she realized that in that moment she was more focused than ever. The healing power of the cat. Another thing, poem writing. Poem writing, we already saw one example of a poem, and here we are going to see two more examples. So in order for students to write a poem, you can break it down, like ask them to talk about sights and sounds and smells and feelings that they associate with companion animals, and about activities that they do with companion animals, and then they write a poem. With more advanced groups, you can introduce sound devices, for example, alliteration, repetition, and you can tell them what about acrostic poems and how to use different rhyme generated tools online to write poems that rhyme. So let's listen to two samples.
Cats. Curious cats everywhere, all with attitude, thinking of fish all the time, softly purring.
And the second one.
This is my sweet puppy. It is a little bit chubby. This is my sweet puppy. It is badly beginning to bark. This is my sweet puppy. It is always lucky. This is the reason I love my puppy, and the reason it makes me happy.
Lovely.
Cats.
No.
This is
Okay, so those compilations of lesson plans I told you about, now that I'm coming to the end of the presentation, let me show you just a couple of examples of lesson plans which are available in those compilations, which are based on all kinds of creative tasks. A lesson plan by Maria Polichru, who loves museums, loves paintings. She created a lesson plan in which she shows to students lots of different examples of paintings in which you can see people and animals, and you can see very different relationships between those people and animals. So she also suggests the technique of image theater or frozen image. So students create a frozen image of one of the paintings and the rest have to guess which painting it is, and then they discuss like whether the recreation was successful, what could have been done differently, what's the relationship between the person, the people in the painting, and the animal. She also suggests the flashback and forward techniques, which means what happened before the painting was painted, what's going to happen afterwards, what happens afterwards, and they can write a story about this. This is the 2022 compilation. Oh, you can see Cookie here, the troublemaker, the one who interrupted the session. So this lesson plan is written by Leah. It's about grief, about the loss of a companion animal. The starting point is this story written by Marina, a 12-year-old student. It's about her dog, Guido, who sadly passed away. And another very important element of this lesson plan is this painting by Marina, in which she depicted grief. So students can discuss the use of colors, the use of different shades, okay? And they can talk about how the artist represented her grief. And then students can be asked to make their own paintings. And I have a few examples. So the students created the paintings and the rest of the class got engaged in the analysis. So for example, here, there are some nice comments about how the dog is almost invisible because that's probably the way in which the artist shows the big loss. In this painting also, the whole picture is in color except for the dog, and we can see the tears. The girl is crying. And in this painting, we can see that the person's face is invisible, it's dark, okay? Because the focus of the artist was on the posture and all the words expressing so many emotions, so many negative feelings. And this picture, although the topic was grief, it's full of joy and full of love and connection, okay? Although it's black and white, but it's so joyful. It shows the wonderful, shows the wonderful connection between the boy and the dog wagging its tail. So now, let me just say that there is lots of methodology behind it all. There are all kinds of receptive and productive skills. There is a vocabulary, grammar, and everything, 21st century skills, but I'm not going to talk about them because I would need another half an hour at least. And today it was supposed to be all about kindness and creativity. So that's what we did. And I'm going to finish with this quote from the story, which I also have my t-shirt. You give love, you get love every single day. And you get a lot of love when you save a stray. And if you want to get in touch, here are my contact details. Thank you.
That was absolutely amazing, Margarita, amazing. Thank you so much. This is the second time I've seen it, but I've taken away so many new things. I mean, it's such a complete session. There's so many ideas, and there's one, I'm going to quote you on it because it really struck a chord with me. When you said ELT, English language teaching, and real life come together, and students in a creative way look for solutions. And that's true from the 4-year-olds right up to the 16, 17, 18-year-olds with all those wonderful ideas and ways of taking the story, the base story further through poems, through songs, through posters, through frozen images, through letters, etc., etc. I mean, really, it's just, well, I'm a bit speechless once again. Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so much. And you'll have seen in the chat all the really complimentary responses from everybody, thanking you and for all these ideas, these interactive, inspiring ideas. And I think, you know, everybody is going to take a lot away from this session. So thank you for being so generous with
Thank
us
you so
all.
much for inviting me. But I've enjoyed being part of this. Sorry for a cookie.
No, it's real life. We're talking about real life.
She is not.
Absolutely, and totally appropriate and in keeping with the theme. So no, wasn't an intrusion. I think it was perfectly coherent. Thank you. Thank you so much.